Hello and welcome everyone to our highlight show of the final day. I'm Nazi Paikidze and I'm here with two grandmasters, Yasser, Seirawan and Peter Svidler.
It's a pleasure calling all the action with you,
What a
Nazi.
thriller that final day was.
It certainly was. And the standings, the final standings, will tell the story.
Let's have a look. There was a three-way tie between Pragg, Maxima Shilagrav and Alireza Firouzja. Clear fourth for Fabiano Caruana, clear fifth for Nodirbek Apisotarov.
Coming into today's round, Pragg was in clear first, and he could decide the tournament in his favor. He was playing against Levon Aronian.
Yes, he was, but he didn't get any chances to play for a win, so he chose a solid way to draw and wait for the other players to see if there would be a playoff. So let's take a look.
I think Pragg came to the board with the idea of being extremely solid, was maybe somewhat surprised by the French, but did have a plan for the French in mind, played a very, very contained, solid line, got the queens off by move 10. And Levon maybe could have played slightly more ambitiously right out of the opening, but once White got the position with the bishop pair, it was only really a question whether White can be better. And Levon held it quite comfortably, so the answer to that is no.
Nope.
And the game will now be a draw.
And they are repeating.
Yeah.
Great tournament for Pragg.
I wanted to say absolutely the same thing. I mean, hearty congratulations.
That's his second year playing in Bucharest, tied for first, or maybe even winning the tournament outright this time around.
Right.
But definitely not a worse result than a tie for first so far.
Right.
Was in a tie last year, will be at least in a tie for first this year.
Wow.
Now he has to just sit back and wait for the other players.
International arbiter is confirming that the draw is a draw. The repetition stands. Congratulations to Pragg. Peter, this draw opened up the opportunity for his closest rivals to tie with him.
Absolutely, and we'll begin with this game between Bogdan Deák and Alireza Firouzja on the black side. And as expected, Alireza went all in pretty much out of the opening. We joined the action here after move 20. This has been a King's Indian. Black is a full, healthy pawn down. And in this position, a very beautiful motif I wanted to show, Rook b7, which looks like a blunder because Bishop c8, Queen c4, Bishop e6, Queen a6, Black can, for instance, take and play Bishop c4. This is bad for White. I'm very sure this is why Rook b7 wasn't played. But an incredibly beautiful move here, Knight c3, d5, would have ended the game immediately in White's favor, meaning that Rook b7 is very strong. But I think, in general, Alireza was prepared to be much worse out of the opening. He just wanted a position with unclear piece play. He was still in trouble for much of the first half of the game. If you look at the position after, let's say here, move 29, White has full control, still a full pawn up, a very nice blockading knight. Ideas of pushing forward with, in particular, e5, knight g3, knight e4. On the next move, e4, e5 was borderline winning. But a lot of pressure, it's a very non-standard position to play, and by move 40, White is an exchange up, but the position is extremely unclear. Black has a wonderful bishop on e3. The second bishop is constantly threatening to come to d5. And play became incredibly tense. Players got their extra half an hour after the time control and burned through most of it playing the first 4 moves of this time control. Mistakes did happen, but in the end, a very, very dramatic sequence of events happened at the very, very end of the game. If we come to this position, White kind of needed to play e5, e6 here, and Black holds, but it's a very tricky position. Instead, Bogdan played Rook e1, and now, as you can see, he's in trouble. But this was not the end of the story. Bishop c4. Now White is kind of busted. The best move is Rook h1, but it wasn't played. Rook d1 now is just straight up losing. Bishop takes d3. Queen takes d3, Rook b2 is bad, so Rook takes d3. Rook b1, Rook takes e3. At this point, Bogdan was playing on increment, and I think Alireza maybe even had a couple of minutes left. And if he simply takes on e3, he is completely winning. Apart from Queen takes e3, there's really nothing White can do. And in this position, Rook b2 check, with either a check from h5 or a check from b1. Black, at the very least, collects a lot of material. Instead, Alireza played Queen h5, allowing White to save the game all over again with the move Queen d3. And shockingly, after Queen h1 check, King f2, this group of pieces protects all the important checking squares. There are some really crazy variations coming from here, but the end result is a draw everywhere. But instead of that, Bogdan played rook h3, and suddenly he is lost in a very study-like fashion. Queen g5 check, rook g3. Is this a draw offer? Not so much. Shockingly, black actually trades queens, and suddenly you realize this pawn will cost us a full rook. And with that, Alireza won this very interesting, very tense game coming into the playoffs with Pragg.
And this is how it ended. You're promoting the
We are
e-pawn?
serious. Yeah.
Oh, he played rook h3, so Firouzja's winning again.
He's going.
Oh my goodness, a dramatic turn of events for both Alireza and for Bogdan.
Now it's very simple for black, right?
Yeah.
A rook h3 on the board, and it's the clock.
Much excitement watching the Blitz playoffs.
Yeah.
We can call
think
for
he
delay.
flagged, or-
Oh, he
He
resigned.
resigned,
Wow,
yeah.
congrats to Alireza.
Wow.
What a win.
What a win indeed.
Yeah, that was an equally dramatic game between MVL and Duda. MVL needed to win on demand to join Pragg and Alireza.
And he got it.
He managed to do it. Let's take a look.
I can promise this right this
He
moment.
takes F
Okay.
on the board.
Watching the game live now,
Yeah,
King
I'm-
G2, there was this massive threat of F2, F3. So E3 takes F2 was played. Now
Yeah.
we are waiting for
Rook h1.
the
And if F1,
winning.
Wait,
if
wait,
F1,
F1?
I assume we take with the king, right?
Because if you take with the queen, there's rook e2.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't want to remove the rook from the h file.
There's no good checks. Queen
And there's
f5.
only one check, and then I go back to g2, and there's once again no good checks.
No
good checks.
discovery checks.
A very exciting game which featured, honestly, its share of mistakes. MVL found a very interesting opening idea, which
Yes.
wasn't really parried completely. Duda played fine for a while and then made a big mistake, which led to him objectively probably being lost, more or less straight out of the theoretical sequence.
battle. Yeah.
And then he wasn't punished, and for all the money in the world, it seemed like the game will end in a draw.
Right.
And then Duda, who I think was very much motivated by a desire to at least have a chance to win one game in this tournament, continued sort of playing for double chances a bit too long.
And he's just double checking his calculations. I think that's going to produce the handshake.
Yep.
Congratulations to MVL. As he, before the round, the probabilities, you were saying, Peter, MVL has the white pieces of all the people. At
And
the
a good
4.5
score
points.
against Duda, and Duda is struggling.
Right.
And the game took a very circuitous route
To get
to this
victory.
result,
Yeah.
considering where we were after move like 22.
Congrats
Right.
to MVL. And that led to a three-way playoff because Fabi wasn't able to win his game against Gukesh. So these were the three players going into the playoffs: Alireza Firouzja, Maxima Shilagrav, and Pragg Nananda.
They played a round robin of Blitz, 5 minutes per player with 2-second increments.
First two games ended in a draw between
Right.
Pragg and Alireza and MVL.
They were very different games, though. Pragg and Alireza played an absolute thriller where the evaluation changed pretty much with every move and ended with the white king being given a perpetual check on the f4 and f3 squares, which is something you don't see every day. But the final game and the decisive game was the game between Pragg and MVL.
I mean, physically moving heavily weighted pieces.
The Val bar definitely prefers white, and black has to be careful.
I was clearly wrong about rook c2 being preferable to rook a1, but not the first or the last
It's
time.
getting nerve-wracking
Rook
time.
f4 now.
Rook
Yes.
f4, and yeah, he's planning to play queen c3, and he's now
Queen
losing.
a7 wins. Queen
a7 wins the game, and Pragg wins the tournament.
He's found it. And he wins. Wow, congrats, Pragg.
Wow. Holding his nerves.
Congratulations to Pragg Nananda for winning 2025 Superbet Chess Classic.
And by winning the playoff, he gains an extra $10,000. And because these two events are now completed, we have the Grand Chess Tour standings.
Yeah, this is after two events combined. MVL is leading with 20 points. Pragg is in second with 18. Alireza in clear third with 16. And then there is a bit of a drop-off. Levon with 10.5, Fabi at 7, and so on.
Exactly. A dramatic final round day, Peter.
A fantastic day of chess, was very, very interesting to watch. At some point it looked like Pragg will just safely coast home with his draw against Levon. Not so fast. Both of the players who won their games today won in a very dramatic fashion. And then there was this playoff which produced its own share of thrills. But still, congratulations to the young man. He played a very solid tournament. He won 2, lost no games, and was the calmer of the 3, I think, in the tie breaks.
Exactly. Highlights for me was working with you both. Great pleasure. Thank you for watching, and we will see you at the next Grand Chess Tour in Croatia.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.